Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Grayscale Trust as well as the markets in general because something really strange just happened. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so the markets as a whole has pretty much pulled back. I'm going to go briefly over the data here so you guys can see it has something to do with this Chinese company called DeepSeek. I don't want to get too deep into it. You guys are willing to look into it if you're curious. But yeah, the market just wiped out nearly $1 trillion in assets. And NVIDIA had a pretty massive dump, which I'm actually going to show you guys in real time here. So yeah, you can see NVIDIA dropped 17.5% on the day, so pretty rough. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm just going to chalk it up as FUD. I don't think there's really anything to be concerned about here. I mean, the markets have been a little edgy lately, but again, I'm not really concerned about it. I think there's a lot of very low volatility. What am I trying to say here? Low conviction investors in these markets these days. A lot of people that just are not willing to really have the grit to have strong convictions in their plays and continue to buy and wait it out. Again, I'm not here trying to guilt trip anybody or shame anybody, but a lot of these people that are in these markets, they just get in and out, and they kind of miss the forest for the trees. So AI as a whole is a global phenomenon. It is not restricted to one country, and there is supposed to be competition. Competition is actually good for the market. So I think people are failing to see that. But anyways, you guys can see lots and lots and lots and lots of pullbacks here. The miners pulled back. The quantum stocks pulled back. Dividend paying stocks pulled back. The big tech companies pulled back. I mean, it's kind of horrendous, but it's not really all that much of a shock. I mean, we saw some similar crap in August of last year, right? So it shouldn't really shock anybody. I will tell you guys right now that it is a bit annoying, but we decided to go ahead and buy some more. So we picked up another 50 shares of CLSK today. Once again, thought CLSK was basically just the miners were going to pretty much be going straight up from here. But of course, these market whales always got to try to pull some shenanigans when nobody expects it. So always be on the lookout and be on your guard in the markets. It's part of the reason why we've decided to change our strategy this year is not because we don't think the strategy that we were using obviously very effective, but we're looking for better dip buying opportunities here, which means if the markets are climbing higher for a couple of months, we may have to sit out and wait for that to play out to get in at lower prices. So we got some CLSK and SPYT, as you can see here. I do have to admit it is annoying, but do I think it's going to last? No, I think this is going to be relatively short-lived, just like the last one. Okay, so let's get into the content here. So if you guys were looking for dip buying opportunities, this is, I don't know why this thing is going so slow. Sorry about that. If you were waiting in cash to buy the dip, this may be your chance. Again, it has broken down below this channel. It could easily reverse by the end of the week. We could get like some super long wick and it could close back above the channel. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But as of right now, it's kind of sitting right around this previous candle lows that it popped up off of right around that $9 to $10 area. So you guys can do what you want to with that. 27 to 54 here is still the targets. It could very easily go higher. Best case scenario here are, well, if you bought exactly perfectly at the bottom, sold perfectly at the top, 445% gain. BCHG, so it does appear that we got back into this green zone over here. So that's going to be roughly about 375 to 420 here. Targets, I would still be looking at about 13 to 24 on this one. So, I mean, a 6x on your money, not bad, right? So 553% gain. HZEN, 340 to 420. So it does appear that we want potentially maybe bottoming out here at this green zone. Targets, I'd be looking for about 820 to about 10.5 on this one. So maybe like a 2 to 3x return. And of course, 225%. If you didn't want a DCA down, you could always just do what we're doing and look at the charts and say, okay, is it oversold on the 4 hourly time frame? As of right now, the answer is yes. So If you were looking to position further in, that may be your cue, depending on how you want to trade. Also, the daily looks very similar too. So ETCG, I would still say somewhere between this 9 to about 1320 area, with targets going anywhere from 1870 up to about 20 and a half ish on this one. So potentially as much as a nice 2-ish X. So 128% gain, ETH. Mainly just sideways right now. You got all these different targets. I'm not going to point out every single pattern here. You guys know what it is based on previous videos, but we got 43, 73, 53, and 34 as potential targets here. The buy zone is basically the green box, so 23.50 to about 28.50. For a maximum potential move here of about 210% gain. It could obviously go much higher. So GBET, it's in the buy zone now, 430 to 510. You have your targets here between 10 to about 32. Pick your poison on that one. I mean, still from 430 to 10, that's about a 2.5x, so 655% gain. FILG, so it does appear it's wanting to maybe try to hold this gray box. So I would say probably somewhere between maybe this candle lows at 27 going up to roughly about 43 to pick some up. And then the target would be the all-time highs at 400. For about 1,280% gain. Okay, GLIV, so we are retesting kind of this $9 area. That $9 area was the last time we bottomed out. That may be something to look at, so probably somewhere between 9 to 15 on this one. You have your inverse head and shoulders pattern here with a target of 31 and the all-time highs sitting at 80. 750% gain. G-Link, let's see. So we got G-Link here. I mean, it's pretty much sitting at the bottom of support. So I'd say it's still 65 to roughly about 85 for the buy area. The target I'd be looking at is 220. So, I mean, it's still at least a 2.5x, so 260% gain. GSOL, as bearish as these markets have been, I am shocked that GSOL has actually not pulled back more. Again, I'm not trying to jinx anything here, but I don't think it's really going to go any lower, but I'd still be looking for the buy area 16 to 22 just to be on the safe side here, just in case, with the target being roughly about that $80 area going up to 115 on this one. For about 635% gain. And GXLM, so it does appear that we are coming back to this structure line here, so 36 to, I'd still say 36 to about that yellow EMA 40. Good area to pick some up to kind of really scalp the bottom of this thing and run it all the way up. So 60 to 70 here for the targets. You could go even as high as 96, which is the previous all-time high, for about 160% gain. That'd be roughly about, I think, like a 2 or 3x on your money. Okay, so mana 10 to 20 here for the buy area, target all the way up here at 70, so 3.5 to a 7x. That's a pretty good return. I mean, you put $1,000 in, you make 3,500, 7,000, 600% gain. Again, not financial advice, but never invest more than you can afford to lose. That's kind of always the sage advice, right? Sure money, your guys' life. I mean, if you want to YOLO and all that stuff, that's up to you. I can't tell you what to do. So 430 to 510 here for the buy area targets. I'd be looking at 8 to about 1050 for about 140% gain. Now, with this dump that we just saw, if I'm being completely honest with y'all, we have big tech earnings and the FOMC coming up. What I suspect is probably going to happen, they're not going to tell you this is FUD. They'll never tell you this is FUD, okay? The people that run the finance world, the news media outlets, which are probably owned by the finance companies, if I had to guess, they're never going to tell you it's FUD, but I suspect this is probably FUD. And then when the FOMC and or the big tech earnings come out this week, we may end up getting an immediate V-shaped recovery as a result of that. Kind of a sell the rumor, buy the fact, so to speak, or buy the earnings in this case. Again, I mean, these markets have been janky for the last few months, but that's because the Fed came out and kind of pissed in everybody's cookies and was like, oh, well, guess what, guys? Sorry, we're not going to cut rates anymore in 2025, which I still think is not going to happen. I don't think they're going to follow through on that. I really highly doubt it. That's what they said, but again, we all know the Fed has said many things many times, and it turned out that they were wrong almost every single time, right? Um, so, like for example, inflation's transitory back in 2020, and then a year later, inflation was at 9%. Then they had to hike rates, so that we know that they were wrong then. They thought they knew what they were doing. Clearly, they did not. This is just my opinion, of course. And then you also had the markets thought they were going to cut in July of last year. They didn't, and then they cut in September instead. And then the Fed was like, well, we're going to do 50 instead of 25 to get ahead of the curve. And then the markets are like, okay, what the hell, dude? Why didn't you just cut 25 basis points last meeting? And I mean, they were bullish on it, but they were kind of like, really, dude? Like, this is the second time you've come out and flip-flopped. Like, last time you did this, you said inflation was transitory, and then it went from 2 to 9%. What is going on here? So, I don't think that they're going to only cut 2 times this year. I just don't see that happening. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.